Welcome to Mental Junk Food Live, where we talk about all things comics, sci-fi, horror, fantasy, pop culture, and everything in between. And I am your host, CB Smallwood, on this Sunday morning. I guess it's a Sunday morning. To me, it's like a Sunday night, because I always get mixed up with that stuff, because if the sun isn't shining, to me, it's not time. I don't know. That's just me. So anyway, welcome to Mental Junk Food, and tonight's topic will be the top 4 ways to drastically improve your art. This is specifically geared to comic artists, but this can be applied to painting, to just anything. You know, watercolors, drawing, sketching, inking. Heck, you can even do this with digital colors. It doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and test out this camera here. Now, all the audio, by the way, let's say transition over. There we go. So all the audio that you're seeing right now is coming through this handy dandy little camera. Fun story. I guess it's not really a fun story. It's whatever. Backstory to me getting this camera. Basically, I had looked the other night forever on Amazon, trying to find something that was cheap that could do the job, and something that I wouldn't get ripped off on, and that sort of thing. And every time I found one that was within a price range that I felt was decent enough, I ended up looking, and the delivery for it wouldn't happen until like several weeks later. And where I'm doing the Indiegogo campaign for Wildcat, I think it's really important that I get a webcam sooner rather than later, because I'd like to do some interviews with some people. I like to interview other people. I'd like to do more live streams and that sort of thing. And I really enjoy doing live streams. It's fun. I apologize about the shaky camera. I'm putting my elbows down on this table. Oh, super professional I am. Let me enlarge this here. Now I'm going to try a couple of things differently in terms of mentally than what I did. Was it last night or night before last? I really don't know. First of all, I did the last live stream I did was about the Titanic, and well, really it wasn't about the Titanic. It was the Cap Arcona, and I was kind of second guessing myself a lot, and then I would look over to see how many people were kind of popping in and watching and popping out, and just quit watching, and so that was kind of psyching myself out a little bit, because it's really important to me that you all stay entertained. So that is something that is on my mind. So I kind of thought about it for a little while, and I think if this is going to work, I'm just going to have fun. And I think if I have fun, if I enjoy myself, then maybe other people will enjoy themselves, by proxy or whatever. I don't know. You kind of get the idea. And I remember by the end of it, because the sinking of the SS Capricorna was such an interesting story, and it involved Nazis and World War II and everything. And today's climate is just so political, and just so, everybody's just so sensitive. Nobody can't really talk anymore without it being something where someone is so easily offended. I pine for the days when people were judged by the whole and not by the piece. You know what I mean? People don't really judge you by the whole of who you are. Instead, they judge you on this one little thing that they don't like, and that taints you forever, and the totality of who you are. I hate that. I wish people wouldn't like that today, but I have no control over it. You don't have any control over it. The only thing that we can control is how we conduct ourselves as people, and and how we treat others. So anyway, besides me shaking the camera, it's a pretty good camera. I'm happy with it. I don't know if it's kind of lagging or anything like that. Anyway, let's get to the topic at hand. So, for anyone that's interested that hasn't done it already, you can check out the Indiegogo for Wildcat. I left a link, I think, in the description box down below, and also if you look over in the chat, I believe it's also in the chat, so there's that. One other point of interest, and I'll get to the main point at hand, there's been over 400 people that has checked out the Indiegogo page for Wildcat, so I see that as very, very encouraging. But you didn't come here to listen to that just yet. Let's get to the main topic at hand. So let's see if I can get this pulled up right. Let's do a quick transition. Boom. That was very quick. All right. So if you look here, it says how to drastically, not drastically, improve as an artist. Now, being super prepared as I usually am, well, actually no, but let me see if I can pull this up. I just had it a while ago. Where is it at? Where is it at? Okay, I'm clicking on it right now. So I had this typed up, and I'm actually going to do a more professional presentation later, do a video that's edited and stuff like that. But I'm just so crunched for time these days, so I just kind of have to, do things on the fly. So for right now, let's just settle for my advice for whatever it's worth in a live stream. So this is, the top 4 ways that I recommend that you can improve as an artist. This is something that has helped me, and I feel very confident that it will help you. Now, some of you might be saying, who are you to give me advice? Well, I'm just a regular Joe Blow. I've watched numerous videos. I went to conventions and talked to all kinds of different artists, even writers about art. They usually don't like to talk about that sort of thing, but read books and that sort of thing, and talk to other artists, my peers, and that are about in the same level as me and everything. Over the years you pick up a few things, and so this is what it is for what it's worth. And if it helps you, great, and if not, I'm sorry. Don't want to waste nobody's time. So what are these 4 things that I recommend? So let me go ahead and get over here. All right. So the first thing that I recommend is for you to draw 30 minutes every single day. Now, if you're a painter, you need to paint 30 minutes every day. If you are a colorist, you need to color 30 minutes every day. If you're a writer, write something for at least 30 minutes every single day, Monday through Sunday. Every week, every month, every year. Now, there's going to be times when that's not going to be possible, which it's kind of hard to, rationalize that. But you have to keep in mind, there is 24 hours in a day. And if you take 30 minutes out of that 24-hour period, that leaves you with, I'm not great at mathematics, but 23 hours and 30 minutes. So that should be plenty of time that you can cut out of your day to devote to just drawing, writing, inking, coloring, lettering, whatever it is that you're passionate about. If you just like juggling, juggle for 30 minutes a day and you will improve. It's unavoidable. So first and foremost, if you draw every day, here's some of the benefits of drawing 30 minutes every day. First and foremost, if you make drawing a habit, it's going to be good for you getting a job in commercial art. The only way to get good at drawing is to draw, and I don't mean to sound like a turd when I say that. Have you ever heard a comic artist give advice and they say something like, you need to draw every day, or draw what you see, or practice, practice, practice? I always find that advice a little monotonous or something. It's just a little but as I've gotten older, I realized that they were right. I was wrong. But the problem was they just wasn't explaining themselves well. See, a lot of comic artists, the bulk of them are great at what they do, but they're not necessarily great teachers. It's very rare to find somebody that is great at what they do in their chosen profession and also be a great teacher. Because that's a different skill set, all in and of itself. And if you think about it, artists tend to be very solitary people. They're locked in their little dungeon for hours on end, all day long. Trying to churn out those pages, trying to get things done. And so their social skills is something to, it needs a little polishing. So anyway, if you draw for at least 30 minutes every day, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to make drawing a habit. And that is very important if you want a career in comics, graphic design, as a storyboard artist, as somebody that, does the newspaper strip stuff, whatever. You got to meet deadlines as a commercial artist, as a comic artist. So the more use that you get to drawing all the time, and the more you get used to doing that, the more likely you'll be able to meet deadlines in the future. So the benefit of drawing 30 minutes every day is you're making drawing a habit, and it's a great habit to have. All right, so in the number one thing that I recommend out of the 4 Ds, and you'll see what I mean later. Draw 30 minutes a day, making drawing a habit. The second thing out of that is it builds confidence when you draw 30 minutes every single day. You'll find that if you draw, for example, a unicorn, it doesn't matter. We'll just say unicorn for this example. If you draw a unicorn every day for 30 minutes a day, you will eventually get pretty good at drawing unicorns. You'll draw unicorns like it's nobody's business. I mean, it's just, you will be the unicorn drawing master. That's all there is to it. Not only will you get good at drawing unicorns, now this is the other interesting thing, you will get faster. You will become faster at drawing unicorns. And this will help you build confidence. So it doesn't matter what you draw. If you draw horses every day for 30 minutes, you're going to get faster at drawing horses. If you just draw hands, you're going to get faster at drawing hands, because you're going to be, your brain will be making that connection with your hand, and a little bit of muscle memory and all this other stuff, and these things will start to come together, and you'll get into a place to where you'll be able to whip this stuff out fairly quickly. So yes, drawing 30 minutes a day will help you gain confidence. Now, another benefit of drawing 30 minutes every single day is you're going to find that you're going to start to build a body of work. Okay, and what I mean is you're going to have, like, everybody does things differently. Some people do a combination of things, and some people kind of stick to one thing. Whatever it is, you'll see. But if you got like a stack of photocopy paper and you're just using that to sketch and draw on, maybe you got a sketch pad, maybe you got like a sketch journal, which is, I guess, same thing, whatever. Maybe you're drawing on big 11 by 17 paper. Maybe you're drawing on that regular notebook paper, whatever you're drawing on. Maybe you're drawing on a tablet. It doesn't matter. When you draw 30 minutes every single day, you're going to find that you're going to have a lot of material to draw from. When I say draw from, I mean like to pick from, to choose from. There's going to be a lot of crappy drawings, a lot of crappy whatever. It doesn't matter if you're a writer. There's going to be a lot of crappy writing. But eventually you're going to find some gold nuggets in there, some really good stuff. I can't remember who said this quote. I don't know if it was country music guy Toby Keith, or if it was Randy Jackson. I don't know if that's his name or not. One of those guys. I'm going to say Toby Keith. I want to attribute this quote to him. It really stuck with me. He was talking about that he writes probably like 100 country music songs. He writes about 100 of them. And out of that 100, there's probably only 3 or 4 of them that's actually good. So by churning out a lot of material, you're gonna come out with gold eventually. But the only way that you can get to the gold is you have to keep digging. You just can't churn out one thing and then consider that a masterpiece, So I recommend that, if you draw every day for 30 minutes, you're going to find that you're going to start to make it a habit, and it's going to become second nature to you. You're going to find that it's going to start building confidence. You're going to be faster at drawing certain things. And you're also going to start to create a portfolio out of this stuff. So there's one other important thing, or one other important benefit to drawing every day for 30 minutes. And that is it will help you to build discipline. And this is so important. I mean, all these things I've talked about is very important, but this one is very important. And the reason is the hardest part about being an artist is there really is no one to make sure that you practice or finish whatever it is that you started. It's all on you. Sure, we all have friends, we all have family that sometimes might chime in, but we can't rely on that because everybody has their own life. And the way people's mentality and rationale works is, if it's not important enough for you to remind yourself or to be on yourself to keep doing something, then it's probably not that important to you. So why should they kick you in the butt to make you do something that you're supposedly passionate about? Does that make sense? But anyway, we just can't rely on that. And so you have to build discipline. You have to be personally disciplined. And you have to be your own boss, just like I have to be my own boss. And you have to demand of yourself results. Sloppy or not, you have to turn something in. You have to get something done. It doesn't matter, just get it done. Learning to develop self-discipline is important to having a career in art or any other creative discipline that you want to get into. It's about getting things done. So it's very important to build discipline. And one of the best ways to do that is to draw every day for 30 minutes or whatever it is that you're interested in, do it every day for 30 minutes. Okay? It will help do these things that's on the screen right here. There we go. We make that finger go right over there. The benefits include making drawing a habit, building confidence, getting faster at drawing, building a portfolio, and being self-disciplined. So the rest of these things I'm getting to rattle off, these will go a lot more quicker than this number one thing that I just mentioned. But I'm going to take a quick break. And what I mean by break is I'm going to check the chat and see oh God, there's a lot of people in this chat. What happened here? Oh gosh. Okay. I see that we've got Flaystorm and Dave Hingley. Awesome. Good morning. Good morning, gentlemen. I appreciate you being here with me. Flay says, good morning, sir. Good morning to you. Dave Hingley says, hi, Fly. How the devil are you doing, sir? Okay. Fly says, I agree. I write every day. It's the first thing I do every day. And it doesn't need to be the final story. It can be object writing or developing story ideas, and it does pay off. And by the way, for anyone that's watching this that's not familiar with these two individuals that might be coming from Twitter or wherever, both of these guys have YouTube channels. Check them out. They're both artists, and Fue is also a writer, and he's got many awesome writing tutorials, and he's really helped me out a lot as a writer. I was able to apply a lot of things that I learned from him in the 100s anthology that was done, the Volume 2 anthology. I was able to apply that to a 4-page story that I'd done, so I really appreciate that. That made that possible for me. And a lot of the things that I learned from him, if not all of the things, I will carry with those for the rest of my life as long as I'm able to, create and make things. Dave Hingley writes, one big plus of drawing every day is that when you don't do drawing, you miss the act of drawing. I know it. It's like when you get in the habit of something, it really is. You feel like something's missing when you skip a day or you know what I mean. I guess it makes me think of people that smoke. Other than any addictive additives that's in it, I think the fact that people who smoke make it a habit, it's also another reason why it's hard habit to break, because it is a habit. I'm kind of talking in weird circles here. So anyway, let me go back to my advice here. Hitting all kinds of buttons. Okay, let me pull this thing down. Let's get to, here we go. Make sure this is right and get my notepad pulled up. Can't do anything without my notepad. Okay, so remember earlier I kind of said it in passing. There's 4 Ds that you have to keep in mind. Drawing for 30 minutes every day, drawing for fun, drawing to learn, and drawing to challenge yourself. So finally we've got to number 2, and I promise this will go a lot quicker than number 1 did, okay? Okay, so number 2, drawing for fun. So what the heck am I talking about? Well, this is kind of important. So what ends up happening is when you start taking your art or your writing or your coloring or lettering or wherever the heck, juggling, or maybe you're like a mime and you do all that clown invisible stuff, whatever it is, the more you get invested in it, the more serious you take it, and the more serious you take it, something kind of bad happens and it turns into a job. It turns into work. And so you have to remind yourself to have fun. So when I say drawing for fun, it's just how it sounds. Draw whatever you're passionate about or whatever interests you. This is important because drawing can become work, and work sucks. So make time for pleasure. Draw stuff that you draw. You can tell it's early for me. Draw stuff that you enjoy drawing, or stuff that interests you greatly, to remind yourself of why you want to draw in the first place. Okay? So if you ever get in a rut and you just kind of feel like you're losing your mind and it's like, it's not really fun, then stop what you're doing if you have time. Kind of make time for it. And if the one thing that you enjoy doing is just drawing Hulk, then sit there and just sketch out Hulk for a little bit, If you're writing like a serious novel or something, but you also love poetry, just knock out some poetry. I don't know. Just whatever, tickles your fancy, do that in your creative chosen field. And remind yourself of why you're in love with that thing that you want to do in the first place. So that's important. So remember to draw for fun. Which brings us to point number 3, draw to learn. All right, so here's what I mean about drawing to learn. You want to look at the weakness in your art, okay? The stuff that you're not doing, and learn to do it. And so it's a lot of these points are pretty much on the nose. So you set aside time to draw things that you're either bad at or you don't know how to do just quite yet. I've got quite a bit of stuff, honestly, that I need to work on as an artist. But anyway, myself aside, for example, if you're bad at drawing legs, then you need to set aside time just to draw legs till you start to feel confident in your ability to draw them, and also in your ability to recall from memory to be able to draw them, and then move on to something else. Todd McFarlane, I saw this on YouTube somewhere, and if I was a more professional guy, I would already had this pulled up and queued for you to watch or have a link to it, but I'm not. But I swear, it's on YouTube. But Todd McFarlane did this awesome 30-minute to hour-long interview, and in it, when he was first starting to take drawing seriously, he was very methodical about how he improved as an artist. So what he would do is, he knew his anatomy was bad, so he sat down and he drew hands for a whole week. Next week he drew arms, like the biceps and triceps and all this other stuff. He didn't necessarily memorize all the different names of the muscles. He just focused on being able to draw it, rendering the arm in different poses and stuff. Then the week after, the torso, the back, the head, and so forth and so on, until he felt like he had a decent grasp on anatomy. And that's one of the things I feel like that separates the pros from the people that are not pros. Okay, and I'm not calling myself a pro, because I'm not. If I was, I'd probably be drawing Hulk or something right now. But what I am saying is that the people that do this for a living on the big stage, like at Marvel, DC, for Image or whatever, a lot of them are very methodical about what they do. They put a lot of thought into what they do, and they just, to them, it doesn't make sense. Some of the questions that people ask them that are aspiring artists and stuff like that, and they just don't understand why they just don't do what needs to be done, So anyway, I'm kind of getting off topic here. I'm getting into a whole nother realm. So when I advise you to about drawing to learn, it is just as it sounds. So if there's anything that you feel that you need to work on, if you know your cars look sucky, then work on your cars. Draw your cars. If you know your backgrounds need work on your backgrounds, your perspective, or whatever. One other thing that I would point out is, don't wait for somebody else to tell you, to remind you that you need to work on it. I remember, I cannot pronounce this man's name. I'm just going to say Joe Mad, so I don't make myself look like a bigger fool than I usually do. But Joe Mad, who drew Uncanny X-Men for a while, and then Battle Chasers and a lot of other stuff. People used to approach him at comic book conventions, and they would say, I know my anatomy looks bad, but what do you think about this? And that used to irritate Joe Mad really bad, because he felt, in his opinion, that if you know your anatomy looks bad, why don't you fix it first, then show him your portfolio? Because in his opinion, he feels like you're going to get better advice from him or anybody else, because you're going to be presenting your absolute best stuff that you cannot see the flaws in. So basically, his advice was, work on the things that you know that you're doing wrong first, then show your portfolio, because the advice that you're going to get back is going to be a lot better, because they're going to be pointing out the things that you don't see. If that makes sense. I don't know. Anyway, getting off topic again. So draw to learn. Set aside time to work on the things that you're not too hot at. Okay. And last but not least, let me cue this out. You need to draw to challenge yourself. Now, what I mean by this is, you need to draw things that scare you. And I'm not talking about scary stuff like monsters or demons, unless that's something that does intimidate you as an artist or whatever. But I'm talking about, when I say drawing to challenge yourself, drawing things that scare you, what I'm really talking about is drawing things that look hard or difficult or impossible to draw. Okay, let me explain this and why you should attempt to do this. Only by drawing things that are beyond our capabilities do we truly get better as artists. If you only draw stuff that you're comfortable with all the time, you'll never improve. I mean, you'll have like a short-term improvement in terms of like drawing unicorns faster, if that's what you're drawing all the time. and your unicorns will look pretty pimping, as well. But the problem is, if you're not drawing other things and things that intimidate you, maybe perspective is not something you're too hot on. Speaking about myself on that one. And you need to work on drawing buildings and stuff like that. And then you look at some of the buildings that people draw in comics nowadays, and it just kind of scares the crap out of you because of the bird's eye view of the buildings looking down, or the worm's eye view of the buildings going up to the sky, and all these different angles, and 2-point, 3-point, 4-point perspective for all I know. And there's all kinds of different things, drawing technology or whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is, if there's something that you see that looks hard, difficult, or impossible to draw, but it looks cool and it's something that interests you, at some point I recommend that you try to draw it yourself. Because if you don't, you'll be stuck in your development in the long term. It's when we draw things that are beyond our capabilities that we actually improve and that we actually grow as artists, as writers, as inkers, colorists, or whatever. We have to push ourselves. And so that's what I mean about drawing to challenge yourself. I mean, you ever been in a comic book store and you open up a comic book and you feel about this small, you maybe more like this. There's a lot of artists that I go in a comic book store and I open their book and I question, like, why am I doing this? These people, they've got their stuff together. Everything, the anatomy, the poses, everything's just so dynamic, and the perspectives, and oh man, just look at the way this guy draws leaves and in the trees and the forest and stuff, and just look at the way these buildings look and how this guy drew space, and it can be really intimidating. But when that happens, you have to remember to breathe, take a second, and just remember that everybody is on a different journey. Everybody's on a different level. Think of a forest, okay? And everybody is a tree, to get all hippie here. Everybody's a plant. And in life, everybody's on a different path. We're not all on the same path. We're all heading to the same destination, or trying to, the sun. But, you got little saplings, and you got other trees that are choking out the light above them. Then you got these big, huge trees that block out the sun. And it seems really daunting. But you got to focus on being you and being the best you that you can. So draw to challenge yourself. Don't be scared to take on the difficult things. So let me scroll on down here in my notes. So a quick summary, if I may. Let's see here. What do I got? All right, here's a recap. Oh shucks, I haven't showed you guys anything. We do a transition. I got so hot and heavy in this conversation that you haven't even been able to see any of my bullet points. You know how annoying that is? I had like 6 different slides, 6 or 7 of them, going through these one by one. Dumb. Anyway, to recap, draw at least 30 minutes a day. Draw for fun, draw to learn, and draw to challenge yourself. If it helps, remember them as the 4 Ds. And this isn't like something that I learned from one source or anything. It's just kind of stuff that I kind of just slop together in this one thing, and it's really helped me, in my opinion. And I hope that it helps you too. So let me check out the chat, and then we'll go from there. Okay, let's see. I'm looking at the chat, and okay. Fue says, point 2 is on point. I have a little mantra that I tried to say to myself every day. It goes like this: write like you're in love, edit like you're in charge. I like that. That last bit tickles me. Write like you're in charge. That's cool. Dave writes, try looking at other art, not just referencing comics. How would Rembrandt's work help your comic art? I actually love Rembrandt. I remember back in high school when I first discovered him, we had this big, thick textbook on, I guess, I don't know how to put it, classical art, Renaissance art and a lot of stuff like that. And I think everybody had to pick an artist and do like an essay or something on them. And I picked Rembrandt because he kind of stood out. His paintings kind of told a story. And not only did they tell a story, but his choice of colors and the way he rendered things, I thought that was really cool. But you're right. I didn't mention it earlier because I was trying to keep everything small, and I hate how this camera works, but I put it small and concise, because in my notes I actually put here, draw for fun, draw to learn, draw to challenge yourself, use your eraser. I know that sounds dumb, but don't be afraid to use your eraser. Use reference. I got that on there. I put draw from comics, draw from life, draw from the internet, draw from reference, draw from a list, and draw from your imagination. But I didn't go into those because I don't know, trying to keep it simple as I can, because I can talk about this stuff forever. Let me scroll over here, move this around. Let's see. Orcosaurus? Is that how it's pronounced? Orcosaurus? Orcosaurus. Hey everyone, what's up? Orcosaurus says that Dave Hingley, I have to agree, many comics artists look to other art to get inspiration. Let's see. So yeah, that's pretty much it in the chat so far. And let me see if there's any final thoughts to say. I'll pretty much wrap this up here in about 5 minutes, so don't just leave just yet. For anyone that doesn't know, Wildcat is on Indiegogo. It's currently at like $334. I think that is 15 backers, and I have a fixed go of $1,500. So if anybody now or anybody that watches this later, when it's archived, go check it out. Maybe you can give somebody a Christmas gift of a Wildcat comic, or maybe you can get one for yourself. I have PDFs and hard copies, so whatever works best for you. And also, I find it encouraging that there's been about 400 people that's actually checked out the Indiegogo, so that's pretty good. I think a lot of people might be waiting on payday, either on the Fridays or more near to the first of the month. And I think some people might be just waiting out to see how things go before they contribute. And money's tight for everybody for different reasons. That's just how the world works. So I understand that. And but I'm not delusional either. I don't, I'm not expecting, Wildcat to be like wildly successful or to get, or to even get funded, because I really don't know. I don't know what's going to happen between here and like 30 days from now. I think there's like 31 days left to get it funded for $1,500. But I will say this. I've learned a lot from doing an Indiegogo, and after it's all said and done, I'm going to pass on what I learned, for better and for worse, to you guys, so that way it'll save Jens a lot of trouble and a lot of grief. And I've also, in the process of coming up with a contingency, if I can speak English right, a contingency plan for what I will do if Wildcat fails. So I do have that in mind. Well, anyway, I guess that's pretty much it. I really appreciate you sticking with me this morning. It seems like I've gotten a habit, around 3 o'clock in the morning of doing these live streams. I really do enjoy doing them. I guess on that note, it's pretty much time to end things. Thanks to all my viewers, and thanks for everybody that's commented and everybody that's going to comment after this video. You can find me on Twitter. Be sure to subscribe and follow if you haven't already. And as always, this is CB Smallwood, and I will see you in the next video.
You've been watching Mental Junk Food live on YouTube. This broadcast has been made possible by viewers like you, so be sure to hit like and subscribe to be kept up to date to all our latest videos.